team after that difficult performance. Just a note, C9 selected red side right here. So they, I think, have a little bit more flexibility in this draft.
Well, we'll see what happens in the bans here. LeBlanc and Fizz already banned away for TSM, so some pretty big changes actually with personnel changes for Cloud9. Cannon, though, banned by C9. Rumble actually banned as well, so it does feel like 3 top laners really have already been banned away in this draft. Obviously, Fizz can be flexed, but yeah, it's a lot of changes already. We saw almost all jungle bans in Game 1.
Hey, you do have to remember Fizz mid is definitely pretty strong. You know, Faker just played it in the finals. Jensen is someone who loves playing those split push assassin type champions. Shen's certainly something targeted at Impact. This
is an insane ban phase. I mean, that's 4 top laners, definite top laners banned away already. 3 of them by Cloud9. So they're really actually targeting Hauntzer's carries because it looks like they want to push him into a tank matchup against Impact. And with Shen already banned, Cloud9 has a lot of flexibility to take Nautilus later since it's a very unlikely first pick with Lulu up.
Now the question here becomes, does Cloud9 just run it back on what TSM did? You can draft Karma Ivern here and set up that sort of a composition right off the bat if you'd like to.
Yeah, we have to note, though, that Ashe is also an unbanned champion in this game, and that's had such high priority in the semifinals, especially for Sneaky, because of his tremendous use of Hawkshot if they want to get some early scouting. So a lot of choices here for Cloud9 to make. They do have the opportunity to run that back with something like Karma and Ivern right now if they want to do any type of shielding composition.
C9 running down the clock, but there's the Ashe as their first pick here. I was about to say I cannot see a world where they don't take Ivern here, but we'll give Cloud9 the benefit of the doubt. They are thinking through these decisions, 20 seconds to make this pick.
And I mean, Graves has been incredibly powerful, one of the top tier, if not the top tier jungler for quite some time. So it's certainly not a bad decision to not take Ivern. It's just, are you worried about TSM taking Ivern and Lulu? They can have an even more powerful composition around supportive AD carry styles.
And also grab the Caitlyn if they want as well in this round, as the Graves is the pick actually for Cloud9. I mean, TSM have to be thinking, like, is it a trap? That's the only thing you think of in this draft, right? Because from what you're seeing, you're going to get an even better composition than you did in Game 1.
Yeah, so of the junglers on the board, the Graves would be good against the Ivern, but Rengar is also something that has been huge in North America and often goes banned or first pick. So not too much of a surprise as Svenskeren takes it here.
Yeah, and Lulu, Rengar, very, very powerful combination there. I think the speed ups, you have the knockup after the ultimate in, so it is really strong. Syndra is something that Bjergsen is famous for being incredible at.
Yeah.
He's been perma-banned out on this champion for so long.
Exactly. This is also the first blue side game that TSM has played in playoffs. We have to note that. So getting the mid laner locked in early for TSM, I think, is smart in this situation, since we are probably going to be seeing some mid lane bans by Cloud9 and they get the counter pick anyway. But speaking of the counter picks to Syndra, we were expecting to see this matchup. If the Syndra is going to be taken, either one of these guys would pull out Echo.
Yeah, and I think that Jensen actually has the best Echo in the league. It's not what I would consider a lane counter at all. It's something that can wave clear through. You build up some early defensive stats, pick up a Negatron, and you essentially just lock the Syndra into lane with this wave clear style. Then you can move out into the side lanes and start up 1-3-1.
Well, we'll see what happens in these next few bans. Renekton banned again by C9. There's the Karma ban for TSM, so targeting some of the supports that are available. I think C9 right to take Echo where they did, but it does mean that someone's going to take a hit. This time it's any LCS support Smoothie.
And this is kind of insane. Since TSM didn't pick a top laner early, C9 is just going to keep throwing bans in that general direction since they still have first pick top laner if they want it, or the ability to counter pick. So if Haunter has a good game this game, it's going to be quite impressive since Cloud9 has thrown so much into him in the ban phase.
And I wouldn't be surprised at all, honestly. I mean, they have banned out a lot of his carry top laners, essentially every carry top laner he does play, but Nautilus is still available. This is a champion where he is extremely comfortable. It's not like you're really pushing him that far down. You're just pushing him off of carries. You're not pushing him off of tanks.
Well, I feel like Nautilus is the pick, right? They're getting rid of all the carries they wouldn't want to play Nautilus into. And with Shen ban, Nautilus is the premier tank.
Gragas is still available, though. I think Haunter would be very comfortable playing that up into the matchup. Can work very well with some early Doran's rings. It plays pretty evenly in lane with Nautilus, and it has a massive amount of playmaking ability.
Well, we'll see what TSM want to finish their draft with. It looks like Turtle might be looking at a change up from the AD carry from the bottom lane here. And of course, Haunter still has a mystery champion to show us at some point.
Yep,
there is the Gragas that we expected, though.
Yeah, with all the carry bans, you're going to be going to the Gragas. He's played it twice this year, including playoffs, is 2-0 with it. Also, I believe he played it last summer in the finals, so definitely played it in high pressure situations as well.
What do TSM want as their bot lane, though? They've got Caitlyn available if they still want it. They can just take the Lucian if they feel like a bit more aggression is what they want in this team comp. Certainly a lot more skirmishing, but a solid draft once again for TSM.
And they also have some very powerful engage with the Gragas, with the Rengar. You have the Lulu to speed up and shield either of those guys. The massive amount of CC. And if you ult someone in on Gragas, Syndra can easily clean that up with follow-up.
I'm also looking at the Cloud9 composition right here, and they have given themselves so many more tools to make things happen than they did last game. They're setting themselves up with the split pusher and Jensen's Echo, but the CC layering from the Ashe and the Nautilus is incredibly powerful if they can make some teleport plays come in.
Yep, Smoothie is going to select Zyra as the final pick there as support. Did get pushed down a few pegs as far as the more defensive supports goes, but happy to go back to the more aggressive supports here as well.
And I think as far as the 2v2 matchup goes, C9 should have a pretty good advantage. Ashe outranges the Lucian. You can poke him out with your volleys. And I think Zyra does have the edge against Lulu in this straight-up support matchup too. So you should look to see Cloud9 get some dominance in that bot lane. And that was supposed to be their strength. So they need to have success there now that they have both drafted for it and planned around it.
Well, we'll see what happens here, because we saw a lot of early action, kind of started by Cloud9 and then very quickly followed by TSM. This game's going to look a lot different as far as the overall pressure goes. I think bottom lane might play a little more conservative, see if they can't, just get through the laning phase and use the advantage they've drafted for themselves there. Bjergsen and Jensen were surprisingly inactive in the last game. Yes, Bjergsen had some good roams with Talia, but we didn't see that much of the lane. It was all about top lane in the last game. We changed it up. It's now a tank matchup. Impact's in as well. I think that's the place to start here, and both junglers likely looking there again.
Yeah, if we see a fairly conservative early game with the game being close, so much of it would be decided about how the tanks can manage these fights as far as peeling for their teammates.
See the compositions once again here. Cloud9 looking to even the score and make it a series. TSM feel pretty good about a 3-0. I know everyone here would like a longer series. I certainly would. I'm happy for 10 games throughout the weekend, but if you're trying to win a championship, you're going to try and do it as fast as possible.
Yeah, and this is such a different look for Cloud9 coming into Game 2, completely changing the dynamic of team fights by having double tanks in the top lane, also putting Jensen on a split pusher instead of a team fighter in Cassiopeia, so completely switching things up after that disastrous Game 1.
I think it makes sense. Again, I feel like Camille's a one-time thing for Haunter in this series. Like, have this. Are you still good at it? Haunter's like, yep, really good. It's like, okay, that's banned away, and so are 4 other carries. So we'll see what happens in our second game here. TSM and Cloud9 moving out onto Summoner's Rift once more. Looks like TSM actually might be stacking a few people here in the bottom side of the map.
Yeah, they definitely look like they are. And I mean, Sneaky's going to have to be really careful around here. Even when you just see the one person confidently moving forward, you kind of have to expect that there's someone there backing them up.
Yeah, against Zyra in a lane that they don't want to get immediately shoved in early, you do expect that bottom lane stack, or at least the feel of putting something down there. No top lane wards were actually placed by C9, though, even though the threat of the stack was very real.
We'll see if we get any more creative jungle pathing. Ivern, a very unique champion as far as choices they can make in the early stage of the game, but much more standard here for Span and Contract. Certainly can be explosive junglers that may be expecting some early farm, but if they get to lanes and start ganking, could explode very quickly.
It's also worth noting that both Haunter and Impact have taken Courage of the Colossus, neither of them going for Grass, which is the more powerful laning mastery, so not really looking for the edge there as much as they are looking for power around the team fights. That's where they're expecting the game to be decided.
Firefrost stealing Smoothie's money. Gets a couple procs there from the Spell Thieves. Haunter moving in towards the Raptor game, but Impact actually here to block that. Trying to get a peek in, see where they start. I don't think they spotted Contracts, but probably have a good idea of where he is, and both junglers are going to be starting Raptors here.
Graves starts Raptors almost every single time, and I do believe that they are aware of where he's going to be starting. You can certainly expect it. Being that ranged jungler, you can essentially clear wherever you want, though, and stay very healthy.
Yeah, it gives you a lot of flexibility, especially if Contracts wants to try to counter jungle, because so many Rengars actually do a full clear of their red side, and that would leave them open to have a buff stolen away. But after the first blood that happened to Contracts on the last game, he's going with a more conservative clear.
Does take the red and move over to his right-hand side of the jungle. Looks like he might have actually pinged straight towards the blue buff, so we'll see if he makes a stop by these wolves.
Definitely could look to do that, and I mean, path towards bot side, where TSM is pushing pretty heavily, could also be very effective. You do actually have pretty good gank setup with that Zyra if you can connect with a flash route. Graves can sometimes come in.
Yeah, and for as much as Rengar is feared, he's not feared at level 3 especially because of his early jungle clears, unless he got an amazing pull. So based on what's happened, Contracts could feel like he get a relatively uncontested gank bottom if he goes for it now.
This is actually so smart from Impact. So he goes in, he drops off the ward. Not only that, but he takes away the blast cone, detonating that so that Svenskeren cannot use this to circumvent a ward to get over top and actually get a gank down on him.
Looks like Contracts is continuing to farm. No huge take Gromp and now moving towards his wolf. Svenskeren going to do the same, but great tracking here by Cloud9 with Impact's good ward in the jungle. Svenskeren, as he moves up towards this intersection, will be spotted here. Bjergsen, by the looks of things, watered right-hand side mid. I think seeing a Contract wanting to invade on that side, but not too much to take. And looks like teams are going to be a little blind here. Although Sven, like you mentioned earlier, is spotted, so going to take his blue buff, and looks like we'll just keep farming it out in the early game.
And Contracts is pretty much doing about as conservative as a clear as you can. He's actually going to end up doing a full camp clear, looking like he was heading up towards topside, but we'll at least clear this ward out and leave some additional threat onto Bjergsen. This mid lane matchup can be very snowbally because Syndra, Smoothie.
Getting ignited, Turtle flashed in again. Bifrost also flashes through. Bottom lane's playing real aggressive today for TSM.
7 summoners burned in the early trade. Smoothie still living with a fairly healthy amount.
No smite for either jungler here, so won't be able to look for that steal.
Sven does spot Contracts, but Contracts should be able to take this down. Haunts are going to be a little too late to the party, and Contracts gets the majority of the camp.
I really do like the way that TSM bot lane is actually playing this matchup, because if you sit back and you play it slow, you will get poked out. Really, the only way you can effectively trade as Lucian in this matchup is playing pretty aggressively. That said, it can be capitalized on.
And Scarin is trying to steal Raptors away.
Going to get a couple of the baby ones. Contracts gets the next one, but Sven might lose his life for it. Contracts still going to chase him down. Red buff's going to make this problematic.
The Q miss from Contracts.
Try and turn it around, and now the TPs are coming in. Sven flashes over. Jensen's going to spot him. First blood over to Cloud9.
And the blue buff ends up on Jensen there. That is so frustrating for Bjergsen to have happen. It means Echo is going to have infinite wave clear in this matchup.
And this has been Svenskaren's big issue throughout the regular season, is dying on solo invades. Bjergsen was in a recall pattern. He couldn't help him immediately right here. So Jensen actually has teleport in this matchup, able to secure this kill on Sven, because he's going to lose that duel on Contracts. Svenskeren used all his spells clearing the Raptor camp, gives the blue buff and first blood to Jensen.
And really, I think it was the fact that Jensen was in base that gave him the confidence to do it. He underestimated that teleport, didn't know there would be a ward in position for him to take him out. And because Bjergsen had lane priority when he started that up, he felt like he was safe.
Well, not safe at all. First blood over to Cloud9 this time around. Jensen going to be very happy with a bit of an early lead.
And it's so important in this mid lane matchup, because what can happen is the Echo can essentially get too powerful that you can't poke him out, you can't 100 to 0, and if he builds up some resistances or even early proto belt, he can just straight up kill that Syndra. And the Syndra needs to stay strong enough to be able to 100 to 0 and kind of threaten that.
Yeah, and having level 6 first as well can just make him so brazen with his moves right here. If he gets poked out, he can use the ultimate to come back to lane. Since his teleport was burned to get the blue buff, but this just extends Jensen's laning phase so easily and allows him to get in that split push phase.
Roam down from Impact though, just for a ward. Going to get a control ward into that pixel brush. Hawkshot going to get a lot of info here. She's scanning through the majority of the jungle. Finally spots out Svenskeren. Sneaky, just so much experience on this champion.
Yeah, and I'm glad the observers showed this, because a lot of people would question why Ashe is such a high priority when you don't see it smashing or hard carrying a lot of games. It has a strong laning phase, but also just gives you so much extra control early on in the game. That was an unwarded jungle that they just gained total knowledge about.
Contracts thought about a play in the bottom lane, but does not use the blast cone to maybe set up a dive. Sneaky, not 6 just yet, so a little trickier to set up for some sort of gank.
Yeah, that level 6 for the C9 bot lane is going to be incredibly important, because if you hit the arrow, you land the full follow-up from the Zyra. It's such an easy all-in to execute. If you do have a TP coming in or the jungler assistance, it's very difficult to escape.
See Jensen actually playing around with his minion wave, but actually
Contracts
pulls it and
for
freezes it as Sven.
Contract's is only level 5 here, and he did get spotted just by the tail end, so Svenskaren's going to want to stop him here, but he's got to be careful not to get caught.
Sven has no smite, so Contracts could take this, but we'll see.
He's going to get caught in rotation, though. Turtle and Bifrost going to take him down. C9 trying to make a play, but it could cost him their AD carries. Live Contracts, though, going to come down as Rengar actually popped the ultimate, sees Contracts, but Sneaky gets out.
The big story there was Bjergsen was not in position. He was in base, so they could not fully commit to that fight.
Good hook there from Impact as well onto Haunter. Triple Doran's battles here in the top lane.
And one of the biggest things about that is it also costs Sven his ultimate. That first ultimate on Rengar is extremely important, and Contracts not only gets away the red buff, he's now level 6. Sneaky gets away, so very big for C9.
An incredibly brazen invade there, and that's one of those things that you'd think would backfire for Contracts, but because of the situation, able to get out of it. Svenskeren now wants something back because their dual lane is pushed up.
Well, good ultimate there from Haunter.
Oh, tracking the turret!
Looking for the solo kill, needs a little more damage. Depth on that. Goes to the glove, it's not enough. Haunter outplays Impact.
Triple doors to triple doors, the rare solo kill in tank matchups. Haunter is on fire.
Bjergsen looking for Contracts damage, not enough from the Cinder, but Sven is going to leap in and take him down. Now Jensen in trouble, not quite in leap lane. Jensen gets away.
TSM winning on both sides of the map there. What an outplay from Haunter. We'll have to see it again, but with those minions get cleared out, you can ult them into the turret, takes a couple shots. Just beautiful from Haunter.
Burns his flash there as well, so Impact potentially vulnerable to jungle pressure now as well. And just when you think Cloud9 have arrested control of the game, TSM have a few acts, but Jensen's just going to go ahead and dive Bjergsen here. Bjergsen just can't do anything. Jensen getting the solo kill. Oh my God! Barely miscalculates.
The moments in these games, Jensen had so many advantages on Bjergsen, thought he'd get the solo kill. His plan was one last auto, ult back. He didn't get the last auto and wasn't willing to ult back until he got the kill. That's a killer.
That is just brutal. I mean, throws his advantage away. He could have ulted out early. It looked like he would have had him, but the phase dive was not up. And Jensen, you can see, was just distraught there on the player cams, looking devastated after that misplay.
And this is huge for C9's in-game mentality. They need to be able to withstand this storm. They just had both of their solo laners, who have been rocks for them during the regular season, die in 1v1 situations. This one, though, could have easily been avoided for Jensen. He was the one going to make the big play. Gets the auto, but it's just not enough, and then he didn't estimate that amount of damage to come through from the turret, which had been hitting him for quite some time, and that one hurts.
Yeah, a bit of a facepalm there as well. Total actually in trouble. Lulu ultimate burnt out by Bio. Going to try and keep him safe. Now going to turn it back around into Sneaky. Calling, looking a little weak, but they flash forward again. Sneaky almost gets burst down. Smoothie, no health and no help.
TSM is just looking like they're unstoppable, and in goes Impact.
All back again. Sven going to look in for Impact. Impact, remember, no flash from earlier. Now Haunter is going to chase him down. Going to dive down the turret. Easy kill for the Gragas.
TSM is absolutely destroying Cloud9 across the map. Bot lane dominating.
Bot lane's fighting again.
Total again.
He's gone too.
Over the ulti from Fire. There's one going to make it too smooth. He can't do anything. Wild Total gets the double kill.
And TSM knew they had one summoner spell left after all the others had been burned, and Turtle goes aggressive with it, flashing over the Zyra ultimate. While Rengar is in the top lane, that's not normally when you expect him to go aggressive. Contracts trying to answer back.
2v2 right now. Jensen going to roam up here.
They need to make this play work.
Contract's already low. There's TP in from Impact. They're committing 3v2, trying to get under the turret. Impact gets the ulti on Haunter. Jensen chasing him down again, but he's under the turret. Ults out this time as Haunter is going to flash out.
Bjergsen's here.
Barely gets down as well. He will leave. Impact under the turret, chasing Haunter. Great ball by Sven, and now Bjergsen takes down Contract as well. TSM keep turning it around.
They're winning all the small fights right here. Narrow health bars coming in for Haunter and Svenskeren when Bjergsen comes in for the cleanup.
And that time it looked like Jensen maybe ulted out a little bit too early, maybe a bit nervous of going down without popping that ultimate off. And this game is completely out of control now for C9.
We talk about nerves right here, and Contracts, aside from that gank, has nowhere to really be found. Haunter and Svenskeren get a kill in the top lane. And then the bottom lane of TSM, normally if you expect the jungler not to be there in a counter gank, you'd think the Graves would be bottom lane, but they still get that kill in the bottom lane. Contracts finally tries to answer back. The execution is missed once again by C9. This game is getting out of hand.
Bjergsen stays around for solo gold as well, but watch this exchange again.
C9 felt like they had to force the play. They had the original 3v2, but missed skill shots from Contracts. Jensen going in, he lands a stun, but he ults out very early.
And imagine here if Contracts' ultimate had landed. Look at the health bars of Svenskeren and Haunter. They both die here if Contracts pulls off this ultimate properly. Then Impact also stays alive to peel onto Bjergsen. So that one play by Contracts potentially cost them 2 deaths.
And
2 kills.
And after it's all said and done,
And the turret?
8-1 up in kills, solo turret gold for Bjergsen in the first turret in the game, and pretty much 5,000 gold ahead. Everyone from TSM is stepping up their individual lanes, and it sucks right now for Cloud9.
And 5K 12 minutes in is ridiculous. Like, this game is getting more out of control than the last one.
Arrow gonna miss, Turtle dodges there despite the smoke screen by Contact. Gonna turn the Kali around, Turtle gets the kill kill. Bifrost protecting himself for the ultimate. Does go down in the exchange. Svenskeren though chasing down Jensen. Lead down's going to be an easy one for the Rengar. Turtle gets out, lives as well. 2-for-1 trade, TSM.
They're winning 2v3s in the bottom lane. TSM is just snowballing ahead so much in this one, and we were wondering how C9 was going to respond to both of their solo laners dying in solo situations. Not well. It seems to just lead to more panic and more poor play in small, close situations.
It doesn't. That's the power of Illusion when he gets ahead. It's so frightening to gank him as a jungler. If you misplay at all in that 2v3, you will get killed.
Well, they're going to get mid-turret now as well. TSM rapidly snowballing this game. But I like what you said earlier, Azel, about Turtle. You know, he's knows in the matchup. He can't afford to sit on his hands and just farm it out like he could on the Caitlyn in game 1. Credit to Turtle for doing the Turtle thing and flashing forward. A smoothie caught out. Bjergsen gonna get a blue buff out of the deal by the looks of things.
I mean, C9 is honestly just looking mentally destroyed right now. It feels like nothing can go right for them. They don't seem to know what to do, where to go, and it's all falling apart.
Yeah, and TSM is taking full advantage of it right there. Bjergsen was well into the back of the blue buff before that pick happened, but we're going to watch this 2v3 one more time.
And if you can't hit the stuns, you will die, even in the 3v2. Early Lucian so strong. Turtle plays this very well, dodges out on the arrow, finishes him off with the color.
Let's get a bit more in. Zips away, and then we saw what happened. Jensen rotates down, Sven able to take that kill down. 11-2 now in the overall kill score.
Yeah, and this game right here is going to easily be TSM's largest goal lead of 15 minutes all season. So TSM hasn't been a tremendous early game team, but they are putting on quite a show right here.
And with the power point that Bjergsen is at now, Morello's completed, double spell pen items. He can one round almost anyone on the map besides maybe Impact.
Well, Mon's getting chased down. 3 members now. Smoothie locks him up with the roots. Now Contract going to move it in, but Smoothie just doesn't use the ultimate or didn't have it as Contract is under threat there. Sven leaps back in and turns it around again.
You send 3 people at Haunter. Impact Dredgelines a minion after ulting him, and then Svenskeren comes in for the counter kill. It just keeps going well for TSM.
It keeps going wrong for Cloud9, unfortunately for them. Going to keep pushing down. They've already taken the 3 outer turrets. This gold lead is fast approaching 10,000 gold. We've just crested the 15-minute mark. You said it already. This is going to be their largest gold lead of the season.
Look at that, 7.3 thousand at 15 minutes. Nearly 3,000 gold higher than their largest lead.
Jensen diving in again. He wants to try and make a play, but he's dipped back to a minion. Bjergsen going to try and make it happen.
Yep.
Sneaky
Gameplay.
That's what I was talking about. You hit this power point this early, level 11, double spell pen, Borrella Namakon. You will 100-0 any squishy player on the other team. And at this point, it's not just looking at the gold lead, it's looking at TSM might be able to close this out faster than any game this split.
And Sneaky's level 8. Didn't go at Doran's start. He has 984 max health. Yes, Bjergsen's ultimate's doing that to him right there, so TSM is just crushing here.
This turret's going to fall as well. It's 4, going to make it 5 in very quick succession. TSM just snowballing this one once again, completely out of control.
They are just comically ahead, and at this point, all C9 can do is hope for a horrible mistake from TSM. A good play from you, no matter how good, does not win you this game now.
Yeah, but these types of things, I think, really show the pressure and the way different players and teams respond to it. TSM are the defending champions. Every player on this team has been in stressful world situations before, whereas the last time Cloud9 was on the stage, they did have some problems then, because you see that 7,000 gold lead that TSM has, 3,000 gold higher than the regular season. That doesn't happen without some level of tilt happening from your opponent, or for TSM really stepping up to the occasion.
Well, these two are just at it again. Svenskeren and Haunter have been quite the pair. Sven flash is thought into the brush. What a stylish play to take down Jensen.
Really nice from Sven there, and it's gotta feel hopeless for Jensen at this point. Contracts in 2 games has not gotten a kill. Like, he has not been able to get involved really at all in either game, and Svenskeren has been massive in game 1 and game 2, playing super well.
Turtle getting CC chained in. Lou the Walty shield, not quite enough. I could be wrong. Turtle, how did you live? Now the TP in. Sneaky getting chased down by Bjergsen. Chased down by Sneaky, but Bjergsen for the trade kill. And now Bjergsen going to look to see if he can't find a little bit more. Haunter TP'd in already. Bifrost goes down, but Contract's low on health. Going to get buffed down by Haunter's keg. Now Impact, we're going to move back in as Jensen TP's to the situation with
Sven's here, so is Bjerg.
And Jensen, he's got to be the target. Double stun by Bjerg. Into the brush we go. Jensen, monstered down by Contract. Ults out, but Haunter doesn't quite get him. Bjergsen needs to turn it around to try and get this kill. Looking for the slow, flashes in, wants to take down gently, can't dodge everything. Impact out with the hook, Bjergsen now dominating, and they're going to keep chasing Impact for a little while longer. Good dodge of the stun there by Impact to stay alive, but C9, they know they have to make plays, but TSM just able to get better trades.
Yeah, I mean, Impact gets out, but the whole house is burned down. He saved the kitchen sink.
Yeah, and this was getting a little bit silly. Wild Turtle should have been dead in this situation. Fully picked out, all ults used, but the Lulu was just enough to keep him alive. And thank goodness for Sneaky's Ash Arrow. Doesn't fly over every wards. Wild Turtle still almost has a chance to sidestep, but ends up going back into it. Then the fight is on right here, and C9 really need this to go well. They finish off Biofrost, but then are unable to get everyone out of the fight.
And so much of this is the gold lead that TSM is playing with. They're so strong, and these little edges that you miss out on.
I mean, they're getting Impact. He's the tank in this situation. Ben's going to roll up for the ults, and Impact has got no chance. Ben dominating now with 6 kills of his own.
Yeah, another turret going to be going over to TSM. 10,000 gold at 18.5 minutes for TSM here.
6 turrets
Last
down.
outer.
Yep, Baron up in a minute too if they want to take it, but they're going to try and breach the base, I think. Before that happens, Bjergsen, ulti at the ready. Who's the target?
Anyone.
Yep.
You get in range of him at all, he's going to one-shot you.
Contract looking for the play. Ulti there by Bio, going to keep Sven alive, but Sneaky goes down. Bjergsen didn't even need the ultimate.
There's absolutely nothing
used it, though.
that Sneaky can do. If he walks up, if Smoothie walks up, they'll get one comboed, and TSM, pre-20 minutes, breaking the base.
Yeah, I mean, you could say, hey, Sneaky built some magic resist, but then he's never killing anyone. He's not even gotten his second part of an item completed right there. Blade of the Ruin King, you normally want to go Hurricane next. He is just so far behind the curve right now and paying the price.
Yep, I mean, Syndra did get changed, but at this point, it doesn't really matter. You're still going to get heavily interacted with by a Syndra ulti. And TSM, I mean, Baron up, they can maybe take it on spawn if they want to rush over. Likely have some gold to spend, so have a little bit more homework to do before they close out this game. But I mean, this game isn't over, but it's pretty close to, and someone in the back has to be thinking for Cloud9. How do they help reset this team? Because if they go down 2-0, kind of going to have to do something that they haven't done in a very long time. That is sweep TSM to take the championship.
And the way that they are going down in these games, I mean, TSM could just walk down mid and probably end the game. The safer play is to set up around Baron. You start the Baron. That ensures a victory if C9 does not come to contest. If they do, you turn and fight, and you have a free win there too. So, you know, TSM really does have all the options. The only way C9 could kind of stave them off for a little bit longer is perhaps a Baron steal and a complete boss from TSM.
Yeah, and that is why TSM is generally playing it slow. And I mean, the only fear you'd have of TSM for Game 3 right here is that you're winning by too much, and that's impacting your decision making if you're
Sounds
actually
like a first world problem.
Yeah, if you're actually in a close game, because there's been situations here where Turtle's getting picked off or where a bunch of TSM people get away with 10 health, where C9 wasn't 5 to 10,000 gold behind. That could actually be going in their favor. So C9 need to just, again, reset.
Yep.
But at the start of this game, they were very close to pulling off a few good plays. It's just a little bit close doesn't count for anything in this game.
Yeah, the problem is you don't have a third sub. There's no next guy sitting on the bench to bring in here to be like, it's okay, we got Impact now.
Reaper played top lane once.
There you go, top lane Reaper.
Let me tell you, never mind. Jensen actually going to get chased down here by Turtle. Does get himself out of the way with Proto Belt. I casted Reaper's early games when he was on technically pre-SKT. That man technically played top lane. I've never seen a Wukong top go mid lane more often than I have in those games. So Reaper definitely had some fun ideas about where you want to go. But TSM, it's just business as usual for them at this point. Turret going to fall, mid lane in-hit soon to follow. Sven just going to reveal them all with the ultimate and threaten a potential kill. And now the way pushing down bottom lane means again, all the administration is done. TSM looking to try and end it. Impact chasing down Turtle zips over the wall.
I mean, 2 inhibitors down without even clearing Baron. C9's not even willing to walk up to wave clear right now. They're so fearful of the one shot from Syndra.
I think we're going to see one final desperation fight here from C9. Maybe not.
He gets 2 without the ultimate. Turtle going to roam up there as Haunter now big with the ulti from Lulu, going to look to taste out Impact. There's the ultimate out of Syndra. Doesn't quite delete one, but Haunter going to grab himself a double. Now Contract's going to get chased down. He gets out with the ultimate, but Jensen ulti's on the spot, going to try and get a kill. Bjergsen another kill for himself, make it 9. Is Jensen the only one left for Cloud9, and his turrets are starting to fall. Bjergsen going to assert some dominance perhaps and try and get the last few kills here, but TSM going to clean this one up.
22 minutes in, making it look like a speed run in the finals here so far.
Jensen up again, Haunter bumps him down, Bjergsen is going to zone him out of the way. That's pushing back Smoothie. Bjergsen does cleanse off the arrow, not even going to go down. No, Jensen does get the shot down. Morale boost is all that is. TSM up 2-0.
And it only took them 22 minutes and 43 seconds for this one. They absolutely steamrolled C9 to make it one game until they can become spring champions.
Credit to Jensen, he's somehow still smiling after that game, but TSM, high spirits, and I would be too, being up 2-0 that quickly.
And that is TSM's fastest win of the entire split, not just playoffs, and it comes at just the right time here in the finals.
TSM is playing insanely well. Yes, C9 looks very flustered with the pressure of this series, but TSM is making all the right plays. They're executing in 1v1. They're rotating quickly, winning in, 25 minutes for game one and 22 minutes to game two. They are on an absolute roll.
Well, certainly are. We're going to check back in with the analysts, though, to see what they make of that TSM fastest game of the split.
Thank you very much, Praise, for your time. And you laughed at me when I said, could it get any worse from here? Turns out it can. TSM, fastest win of the split over C9 in game two of the finals.
To be fair, we almost always laugh at you anyway.
Yeah, it's true. Because I'm hilarious and my jokes are so good, but you laugh at my analysis. That's not okay. MVP right here in the desk. But let's talk about this. TSM winning all down the line. Right before we're like, okay, Haunter maybe is a better player than Impact or Ray. Bjergsen probably better than Jensen. Wild Turtle actually winning up as well. And credit to Bauerfrost as well, of course, his lane mate. But down the line, everyone's playing better on TSM.
Yeah, I mean, this looks like they're smurfing, dude. All of us at the desk, we predicted that it was going to be a close series, but this is just, it's brutal. It's like painful to watch.
Yeah. And a lot of the plays, too. It does, people throw around the word tilt a lot in League of Legends, but it does look like Cloud9 are feeling very nervous. The nerves up on stage are affecting them. Jensen going for that dive. Impact getting ulted under the turret and solo killed in a tank v tank matchup. There are a lot of things here where Cloud9 are making a lot of mistakes.
And it looks like desperation, kind of like a snowball. Like one person ended up losing part of the map, and then it's like, okay, well now I have to do this to try and get something back for our team. And the two solo kills that happened in that game in the two solo lanes, those were really big for me because I feel like those were ones that C9 were winning the matchup and they pushed too far. Impact has him underneath turret. He's winning the matchup because, you shove him in a little bit harder and you get to ward, etc. And then in the mid lane, that's Jensen winning the matchup and going too hard. So it's overextensions from Cloud9 that allowed those two kills to even happen.
Yes, we have replays of those clips. We'll roll them in a second here. But and some of it is sweet outplays. Like the Jensen dive he screws up. This is just, I guess Impact should know better, but this is super sick from Haunter. Minion dies, ults in.
Yeah, and Impact even has flash here too, but he doesn't think that Haunter would even dare to go for that play, and he still gets the kills.
I mean, if he throws the barrel, he's going for the play. You got to flash.
Yeah, you got to react to it. Yeah, this was pretty soon after, I believe. And it just looked like Jensen was like, all right, Impact died. I got to do something.
The turret shots doing more damage with each successive hit there. Caught him off guard. He didn't quite calculate enough. Thought he could get just one more auto in before ulting. You could tell Jensen, a guy that really has a lot to prove, and he talks about wanting to prove himself specifically against Bjergsen because they're always compared as number one and number two, but he's perennially number two. It felt like that was a moment where he was like, this is my time. I'm going to solo kill Bjergsen. And it blew up in his face.
I mean, it means he could have been number one in the future, right? He got the flash first, and then if he just ulties back, he's able to actually go for a kill later on because that matchup is echo favored after a certain point.
And this just reminds me of last finals when I was playing on TSM. Jensen also lost composure in a really crucial moment. Like this guy, he's obviously very good, but I feel like in his head he lives in the shadow of Bjergsen, so he feels like he has to play extra aggressive to prove himself. And it just ends up backfiring all the time.
Yeah, and I wonder what that's going to do for game 3 here for him, because at 17 minutes when he got killed in top lane, I actually watched his player cam, he's laughing. And I'm like, that's pretty much what you can do with that game, though. You have to kind of laugh that off. So that's promising that he didn't look as distraught as he did at the last finals, but we'll still see, because like you said, in his head, he's living in the shadow of Bjergsen. Don't know if he's smiling on the outside, but dead on the inside.
Oh, gosh. That took a dark turn quickly. But yeah, and I want to sing praises of the rest of this TSM lineup. In the bot lane, Wild Turtle, again, up 20 minions at 10 minutes, up 23 at 15. He's consistent. And this one is a much closer matchup. I'd say this is more of a coin flip, 2-on-2 double if you know better than I do.
Yeah.
But this seemed like a lane where, okay, if you win this, you just played better.
It's actually insane that they're able to win this matchup and Wild Turtle was up in CS, because if Lulu Lucian does not win against Ashe Zyra. Zyra is a pick into Lulu, and it totally pressures Lulu in level 6. You just double ulti someone, Lulu has to blow ulti, and then you just get pressured forever. So the fact that he was able to win this matchup is just, and get the 2v2 kills, I mean, I think Sneaky and Smoothie are playing some really horrible League, but they also are playing extremely well.
Yeah, it definitely is a combination. You kind of have to get that to get a smashing this big. You're right, Freak. We did technically laugh at you after the earlier comment. But yeah, nobody expected this. As I said, this is the quickest game that TSM has actually finished all year long, and they're absolutely destroying C9, both playing well and Cloud9 making a lot of mistakes.
Okay, so let's redirect then. You're Cloud9, you're Reeford, you're any of those players. Like, what do you do to turn around? TSM's obviously on all cylinders. What's C9 do? I'm going to go down the line. Double start with you.
I'm going to say put Jensen back on a mage. He played way better on Casio than he did on Echo, and he's less prone to making those mistakes. And as soon as you have the control mage and a tank top, I'd say play Impact again and put your bot lane on something that doesn't need team help in order to function. First game, they needed to gank on the Caitlyn or else they're going to lose their lane. This game, they need the ganks as Ashe, Zyra to set up the plays, but their solo lanes are like inting. So I think this game, put them on something more sustainable. Ezreal, Lucian, or even Caitlyn, and just let that play out while the solo lanes just play for the comp.
Yeah, I think for me, it makes a little bit more sense to run Impact on blue side, blind pick your top laner, pick a tank, and then on red side, you run Ray, and you can run 1-3-1s, get a counter pick for Jensen so he can run an assassin, and you can split push, and then you can also get Ray on something like a Kennen to go for a split push as well.
Yeah, I think these guys made a lot of good points for the lanes. The jungle as well, I think, is very important. You know, Contracts felt like he got scared away from Lee Sin, even though I thought that has been his best champion in multiple games in the regular season. So I don't think they should be scared to go back to that.
All right, we'll see if C9 can play with the confidence they need then, if they can get themselves back out of the lanes. But we're going to be stepping away for a quick break. Stay tuned to see if C9 can bounce back against this dominant TSM in Game 3. Don't go anywhere. You're watching the North American LCS Spring Finals.